All right, we're back with part two, NoKFabin.com with Just Incredible, straight shooting. You already know. All right, we got up to Aldo Montoya and how you started that gimmick, and you know you went through a lot of things during that time, and from the time you know that you got offered this gimmick to I think '97 where you asked for your release.
Yes.
You know, we'll tell about a little bit about the time there during that time, and all the way up to. You know, where you asked for release, what made you ask for your release, what could have been on your mind, because I couldn't even imagine working for them and wanting to quit.
Wanting to quit. Right.
You know, so elaborate a little bit, please.
Yeah, please. You gotta understand, man. At that time, it was like the Wild West back there. Vince was not doing great business. He was doing the new campaign called the New Generation. Ultimate Warrior, we're talking the early 90s, so Warrior had fizzled out, Hulk's fizzled out, he wasn't with the company anymore, Randy Savage as well. So it was the era of Bob Sparkplug Holly, Dumpster Drosy, Adam Bomb, Mantar, Aldo Montoya, that whole slew of Men on a Mission.
I never realized that was like a time like that.
What was his name? It was just so many bad gimmicks. The Smoking Guns.
They actually got pretty good.
Yeah. Yoko was there. So it's just a whole generation of new cats. Hakushi, the Body Donnas.
Hakushi,
just horrible gimmicks, a lot of them. Yeah. And I was part of that. Vince was just trying to find his next thing. And Razor, 1-2-3 Kid, Diesel, all of that. And anyways, long story short, it was like the old generation, Party Central. It was like the how in the 80s, the late 80s, the Sunset Strip and rock and roll, like the LA bands like Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue, the debauchery of that era. That's what it was in the WWF. I mean, every night was a straight fucking party. I mean, we're talking booze like it's going out of style. Every night we're at the club or the bars. I'm 19.
19?
I'm not even old enough to be in the bars.
Wow.
Drinking, every night.
You gotta be kidding.
So it was just raw, hardcore.
Name some names you was hanging out with.
Yeah, okay. First time, man, I ever took a pill. A paint pill. I was wrestling Steve Lombardi, the Brooklyn Brawler. And it was a high school show out in Massachusetts. And me and Razor were traveling together, and we were in a club. And I said, fuck, Scott, I really hurt my shoulder tonight, and we got, 7-8 days left on the tour, Never been hurt like that before and having to go. So, I'm drinking a Coors Light. I even remember what I was drinking, Coors Light, and he goes into his pouch, takes a couple pills out, pops them in my beer. Take 2 of these, puss. And he puts them in my beer. Dissolves in the beer, I drink the beer, whatever. And then, a half hour later, I'm like, fuck, yeah. You mean I could feel like this all the time? It felt good. And, slowly.
What was it again?
To be honest with you, I don't even know.
No?
I didn't know it felt good. When it made
you really know that.
Made it all right. But that's how it was back then. It was just like no different than taking an aspirin.
You don't think it was a Soma?
I don't know what it was. Soma, Xanax, Halcyon. It wasn't Soma. Probably Halcyon or a Xanax or maybe an Oxy or whatever. But it was something that made me feel real good. And I just never forgot it, and then, it becomes very normal. I could go on a tour and not have any pills. For a long time, I didn't have my own pills. I didn't have them prescribed, nor did I have them in my possession. Yeah. But you can go on a tour and ask different people and get pills every night for the whole tour without having your own supply. I can go to Lex. Lex will give me a handful of shit. I can go to Razor. He'll give me a handful of shit. I can go to whoever. So that's how it was, man. And, it was just, that was the start of that, it wasn't dark for a long time, but that's how it started.
What would you say is the percentage of people that was maybe,
then,
doing the same thing?
At that time, everybody.
You kidding?
Everybody. And I don't care what you say to me, I guarantee you that 9 out of 10 wrestlers were doing that every night. Guarantee you. I'll bet my life on it that they were.
Wow.
Guaranteed.
That's bad.
And a lot of it was just to get by, though, man. I mean, you know, Michael Jackson died because people, he was overdosing on sleeping medication because he had a hard time sleeping.
Yeah.
Man, we're adjusting to different time zones. Wrestling, the main event gets out of there at 11 o'clock. You're out of the ring at 11. Now you got to shower, you got to cool down and chill out, because you're amped up.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
I thought about the feeling,
and you got to be up early in the morning to catch your next flight. So you got to go from that high to low if you want to get some rest. So you're taking pills to go to sleep, then you're taking pills to wake up. You're taking pills because everything, you don't feel good, whatever. It was never about the illegal drugs. Like, it was never about cocaine or heroin at that time. It was all about the pain pills, or not even pain pills, prescription pills. Xanax, Soma, stuff like that. So it was just wild, man. Just everybody, it was just culture. It was the locker room. That's what you did. That's what you did. And, it's changed today to where the percentage is probably reversed. You got more guys not doing it than doing it. Yeah. And WWE's done a real good job of cleaning that up, and policing themselves, because we've lost too many guys. Too many guys have died, man. But as a kid, I did it very innocently. I didn't do drugs as a kid. I didn't smoke weed till I was in, the wrestling business. I didn't do drugs till I was in the wrestling business. First time I dropped acid, was on a flight to India with Mark, Undertaker, Henry Godwin, and Phineas Godwin. And, I'm sitting there just chilling, listening to my headphones. And, Taker goes and gets me a little piece of paper, like a little tab of notebook paper. And he goes, "Hey, man, check this out. Try it." And I said, "What is it?" He goes, "It's a hit of acid. Just try it." I put it under my tongue. I'm at the time, I was being introduced to Las Vegas Elvis, music-wise. I was listening to one of Undertaker's CDs.
Yeah.
It was like Elvis from Vegas,
really?
1973.
Wow.
And I was, I was into all kinds of music.
That's
so
cool.
I was listening to it for the first time, So I'm chilling, and all of a sudden, half hour later, something like that, I'm feeling and Mark's sitting behind, in front of me. And he notices that I'm kind of tripping and bugging. So Mark, he's a big motherfucker. Yeah. Got that big long red hair. And he used to always call me, everybody called me Aldo. But he used to always, to this day, calls me by my first real name, Peter. So he turns back in the seat. He goes, "Peter." Looks back and he goes,
"You kidding me?"
I swear to God. Bugged out. Because he's scary looking again.
Yeah.
He knows he's bugging me out. He's doing that to fuck with me, laughing.
Oh, yeah.
Man, and I was tripping balls, and I didn't.
Wow.
So that was a good fun story.
Yeah.
Another good story, man. I was in Kuwait, going to the Middle East. Okay, on a long ass flight to the Middle East, and you know how they are in the Middle East, man. They lock you up, throw away the key on the passports to some countries. They would say on the stamp, "Trafficking of illegal drugs warrants the death penalty." Okay, I didn't know any of this. I got an 8-ball of coke in my nuts that I'm bringing in for Shawn Michaels, because I was trying to get in with the clique.
What year was this? What year was this?
This was 95.
You was trying to get in with the clique?
Yo,
so
I got an 8-ball of coke.
Funny.
Now, me, I'm geeked. I sniff some. I'm fucking paranoid as fuck. We're descending into Kuwait, right? And I see all these Arabs, this was before 9/11, but I see all these Arab-looking motherfuckers. I'm paranoid. Of course, I'm not in my mind, but I think everybody's staring at me.
Wow.
And then, we were the big deal going there. They take us, instead of going through customs, they take us in a separate room with all these Arabs with the proper gear, men with machine guns. I thought we were going to get patted down. I thought I almost ran out of there. I thought I'm going to jail, I'm going to get killed, I'm going to be left here. Yeah. Anyways, they came and gave us like the presidential welcome, and we slipped right through. Wow. But in my mind, I got coke here, I'm geeked out of my mind. Wow. And I
had a feeling that story.
Me and Sean went to the room, and then we did it. He only did it after we got in the country, the fucker. But you know, that was another one, man. It was just out of control, doing stupid things as a young man that I would never do today. Of course,
That's
you know.
crazy,
Yeah, no, that's just the tip of the iceberg, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the '90s were a wild time, real wild time, man. Yeah, good stuff, real good stuff.
Yeah. So okay, it leads up to you, you know, feeling. I don't know, that you wasn't getting booked. You wasn't getting booked, right?
Well, Aldo ran its course. The Portuguese thing didn't work out because they didn't. Long story short, they didn't end up going to Brazil. The market fell through. They didn't get the cable TV clearance that they wanted in Brazil. So quite frankly, they didn't need a Portuguese character, and the character looked kind of funny. Wasn't what they really imagined when they drew it up. Because I got drawings at home of what it's supposed to look like and what it ended up looking like. They didn't do a great job in the costume department. So anyways, but Vince and the office liked my work. They saw, you know, I'm a young man, a talented worker, talented performer.
Yeah.
I was, you know, real humble, professional, you know, and I had a lot of upside because I was so young and good. So they didn't want to let me go. And at the time, you know, I was getting frustrated. You know, I wasn't doing anything. You know, just doing squashes, getting beat every night on TV, getting beat at the house shows. You know, so it was frustrating. I felt, man, I'm getting into my prime. I'm young. I'm good. You know, and not getting shot. So basically, Kevin and Scott at the time, they do the last call gimmick at the Garden, where they broke kayfabe the night they left to go to WCW.
I was there that day.
Yeah, I was there too.
That day.
I didn't come out.
I was in the audience. I was in the fans.
I would have lost my job.
I was a big fan.
Out.
Oh,
yeah.
You don't want to believe I was there.
Yeah.
And let me tell you this real quick. I'm sorry I cut you off, but I went over here, and you know, kayfabe was open, but it wasn't like. You didn't see them
wasn't
together.
Like it is today.
You didn't see them together. You know, we
it was
it,
different
you
time.
never,
It was a different time.
And Razor Ramon fought Triple H that day, right?
Yes, he did.
And Razor Ramon got beat that day, clean cut by Triple H.
Yeah.
And then Triple H basically wiped the match with him, and Razor Ramon got up. As he got up, the fans was going, "You sold out."
Yeah,
you sold out.
Yeah.
So he starts, you know, basically telling them, saying, I think he said there wasn't no money. He showed like there wasn't no money sign for him there, and he basically was like, "Ain't no money here," you know. And they basically pulled him out the building, and and he left.
Yeah.
After getting dragged by Triple H, Triple H had already left, so he leaves. Then Diesel has a match with Shawn Michaels at the end, the main event, and Shawn Michaels goes over. At the end of the day, Kevin Nash lays down for him and is knocked out cold in the middle of the ring. As he's knocked out in the middle of the ring, Razor Ramon starts coming down. And I'm looking like, okay, I know he's friends with all of them because, you know, it's always been that. He walks down, he comes, he gives the Wolfpack signs. Throw it up for me, please. Thank you. He does that. They do that. They hug each other, you know, and then Kevin Nash is on the floor. Shawn Michaels kisses Kevin Nash.
Pac came from the locker room.
Pac didn't get in the ring.
He didn't get in the ring.
Listen, let me finish. I'm not finished. Boom. He kissed him. Kevin Nash gets up. As Kevin Nash gets up, Triple H starts walking down to the ring.
Okay.
Now.
Okay.
All right. And now Triple H just wiped the mat with Razor Ramon, like I said, you know, and he comes in the ring. He's coming in the ring. I'm looking like, oh, they're gonna beat his. They're gonna wreck on him right now. He comes in the ring, throws up the Wolfpack sign, gives a 5 to Shawn Michaels, a 5 to Big Daddy Cool. After wiping the mat with Razor Ramon, gives him a 5-2. They hug each other. They all come together, hug, and get in the middle of the ring and start. Oh my God! I was looking at this in shock, in chills, screaming. Going crazy, asking what's going on here. I swear to God. I swear to God.
It was awesome.
That's all I wanted to say.
It was the defining.
That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember X-Pac coming out. He didn't come out that day.
You're right.
He didn't come out that day. It was on 4.
Oh
my God.
It just redefined the business.
Oh my God.
And
it was just chilling though.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know you was there. You was there?
Yeah. I was backstage.
Yeah.
I didn't come out. I
was in the crowd.
I would have lost my
I
job.
was in the crowd. It was like, oh.
But before I forget where I was headed, that was the night it started to change because they left to make bigger money. And Nitro was breathing down Vince's neck. Vince had never had competition like that before. Vince wasn't doing great business at the time. And he had the steroid trial looming over his head as well.
Yeah.
So Vince was in a bad spot. He'd never been in this position. So Kevin and Scott leave for big money. And then a little bit of time passes. And I started getting frustrated that they weren't doing anything with me. So I go and I said, look, I would do something with me. At the time, their developmental was USWA in Memphis. Jerry Lawler owned it.
Yeah.
It was the last standing territory. What I mean by the territory was it ran every week. They ran the same buildings. Louisville, Kentucky, Memphis, Nashville, Evansville, Indiana. 4 days a week. Once a week, you'd hit those same towns. And that was Lawler's territory, and Vince sent his younger guys, the guys he needed to work on to develop into the bigs, like FCW is today.
Yeah.
So I went there for 2 months to work the territory. Vince was paying me $500 a week, which is nothing, because you got to pay rental car, hotels, eat, not to mention I got a house and car payments at home. Okay.
Yeah.
And I got $40 a night in Memphis. So $40 a night, that's $160 a week in Memphis, plus I was making $650 a week with all that overhead, losing money. Just got married to my wife. Okay, she went to Memphis with me. Now I did that and I couldn't do it anymore. I was losing money. Everything was turning sour. So I went to Vince and I said, look, I talked to Scott and Kevin. They were with Bischoff tight. I said, look, Vince, I got a deal right now with WCW. I had time left on my contract still. So I was like, please, Vince, you're not doing nothing with me. You sent me to Memphis to learn how to be a heel. You ain't doing nothing. Let me go. Release me. I got a meeting called in Stamford. All the heads were there. Bruce Pritchard, Michael Hayes, Pat Patterson, J.J. Dillon at the time was vice president. He was there. They wouldn't let me go. They wouldn't let me go to WCW.
I know.
To make that money.
I read it.
Okay.
I was thinking, why wouldn't they let you go and date?
Because
they've been using you, man.
It would look bad. It would look bad that WCW was stealing talent. Because then at the time, before that, Vince was the guy taking talent from everywhere. Now it was being done to Vince, and Vince didn't want to look bad and see another one of his guys go. So I said, okay, Vince, how about this? I had talked to Candido, who was right in there with Heyman. I had a job offer for BCW. I said, okay, Vince, you ain't going to let me go to WCW. I said, please give me a conditional discharge where I can't go to WCW, but I can go to ECW. And Vince and Paulie were working together. Anyways, they'd done that invasion angle back in the day on Raw and shit. So Vince said, okay. He allowed me on loan to go from WWE to ECW, and that's when it started. That's when it all started.
Yeah, so
what happened? Everybody went quiet.
Yeah, I was just saying wicked. I'm just listening, man, and it's like
captivating.
Yeah, you don't even know, man.
It's an era in the business that defined the business,
Yeah.
And I'm just giving you my perspective of it, my life's remembrance of it,
Yeah. Wow. All right. You came to ECW and you aligned yourself with a couple of people. I think you had a crew, and one of them was Nicole Bass.
Nicole Bass, Chastity, Jason Knight.
All right.
Yeah.
The only name that stands out there to me is Nicole Bass.
Yeah, Big Nicole. She was a Queens girl.
Yeah.
She was from the city. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. She started out on the Howard Stern show.
What you mean?
She was a regular on the Howard Stern show.
Doing what?
Bring her in, just to goof on her.
Yeah.
She's a big bitch. He would just have her in and goof on her. You know Howard. How Howard was, yeah. So that's you know, she made her fame on the Howard Stern show, and Paulie recognized it that she could, you know, we get some mainstream publicity, and brought her in just to be the freak. You know, I had my oddball group, Jason Knight, Sexiest Man on Earth, which was, you know, half fag, half you know, machismo kind of dude. Chastity, very pretty blonde. She had worked with Raven in WCW.
I don't know her. I gotta look all the people up. I don't know none.
She was a manager for Raven.
I read about it, and the only name I seen Nicole Bass. I said I want to know about that.
And so I had a female manager, Nicole Bass, and a male manager, and Jason Knight. So I had 3 people in my corner at that time.
Yeah, I know. I read that. You had 3 people.
And you know, the Just Incredible thing took off, and you know, just started from there, man.
Okay,
tearing it up.
A little more about Nicole Bass. Huh?
Yeah.
How was your, like, how did you get along?
She was cool. She's a sweetheart. You know, people don't realize because she's so fucking big and freaky.
Yeah.
You know, people think like, oh, she's a dude.
Yeah.
She acts like a man. She must be fucking rough and tough.
Yeah.
She was like, you know, I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
You know, because people made fun of her, and she was deep down inside a lady. She was a soft girl.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, and she was big and muscular and shit, and it looked nasty. Even to me, it's the kind of nasty. But she was a woman in her soul.
Yeah.
You know, she spoke soft.
Really?
And she was nice and peaceful. I felt bad for her because even though she has this rough outside, you know, it looks like, you know, if you were fucking her, she'd be the one fucking sticking her clit in your ass because she's so big. You know, but she was really sweet girl, and I felt bad for her. But yeah, Nicole Bass.
All right. All right. At the time, her work seemed pretty. I don't know. I seen her little work a couple of times in ECW.
Yeah.
Right, and she seemed a really interesting person, an interesting figure to look at, and
definitely was.
And you definitely probably could have did something with that.
Yeah, I believe
in my
so too.
vision as being a fan and being a wrestler.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think Paulie was actually doing a lot of good stuff with her.
Yeah.
And that's probably part of the reason why she stood out so much a little bit to me, and being so big, and he made the stuff good at the time. Paulie.
But she didn't have the mentality. She came from entertainment world, not the wrestling world. And the wrestling world is so different than entertainment because she expected certain perks and certain treatment. She didn't get the paying dues, the shitty money at first, the paying of the dues, you know.
So
she just didn't get it.
She didn't respect that part of it?
She didn't know it. So she obviously, she didn't know it. People tried, but she didn't get it. And she had an agent. Her husband was her agent. Real knucklehead.
Yeah.
Kind of sending her the wrong message.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, it just was not working, you know.
But I'm gonna be honest with you. How is it, you know, Paulie? All right, what do you mean not working? First of all, because Paulie made it work, obviously. Because what do you mean it clashed and it didn't work? Because Paulie made it obviously go somewhere because she left there and went to the WWE from there. Yeah. So he made her look good enough for the WWE to grab her.
He wanted to work with her.
Like I said, she stood out to me. This is what I'm saying. So
but she just couldn't grasp the way the business was, the hierarchy, the paying dues, the being kind of the you know, just the slow rise. Like she expected to be a superstar right off the bat and get treated a certain way. And you know, in the wrestling business, if you've heard and you've seen, you know, you gotta respect the veterans, and she wasn't into that, and she kind of thought she was bigger than all of that. So just from a locker room standpoint, she wasn't very well liked. People made her life miserable there.
Where?
In the locker room.
Where? Which locker room?
WWE or ECW.
Oh, in ECW?
Oh yeah, right off the bat. Sure,
really?
Because she didn't have that.
I thought she did. I thought y'all had she got a good record
no.
So she had made it to the, you know.
No, she pretty much had a rough patch the whole time. I liked her. I was good to her. I understood her, but you know, people aren't very understanding, and not everybody gives people a chance. Like I gave her a chance. I had to work with her. I made it life easy for her, but she couldn't do that with everybody. So
I understand.
Yeah.
You know, it's bad because, like I said, I see it as something that could be made. Because one, Paulie made her look good somewhere or another. Yeah. You know, and obviously she stood out to me. She stood out to somebody in the WWE. So to me, you know, I think, like you said, you know, I guess our attitude took somewhere else.
Yeah.
But all I could think about is she came to the WWE. China was there, and they never feuded. How can you be so stupid to let that go?
Nicole Bass wasn't ready.
How can you be so stupid to let that go?
Nicole wouldn't be able to hold up her end. She wasn't good in the ring. She didn't practice.
Was there together, and all I could picture is them two colliding.
Yeah, they could.
It would have been the greatest women's fight of all time.
Nicole.
I don't care what nobody says.
Horrible though.
You could have made that the best women's fight of all time.
Nicole couldn't back it up. She couldn't back it up in the ring. She couldn't produce her part. She was horrible for being so big. You would think she'd be good. Man. She wasn't. She couldn't grasp it in here. She couldn't get the high spots. She couldn't remember anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was horrible. I had to basically in the ring. I had to guide her, and walk her through. She couldn't.
I always had these thoughts, like.
Oh, in a perfect world, that would have been great. In a perfect world, but she couldn't grasp it up here in the business. She couldn't get it. So.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Man, good conversation. Yeah. I always, I asked that because those are things that always, honestly, all this time she been gone. And, and I always wondered
what happened to her. Yeah.
No, I know what. I know I've seen what she, interviews and things, but I just wonder why it didn't go through. Yeah. Because Paulie made it. I felt Paulie obviously made her look good.
Yeah.
And it's a disaster. That's what I would call it. Like, damn, what an opportunity missed.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
All right. Wrestling Society X. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah.
At the time, I'm sorry, but I watched it and I didn't know too much about I wasn't smart like I am now to the business. I didn't look at it the same way. So I always I didn't realize Vince didn't let nobody else do wrestling. I didn't realize there was no other way to, and when that came out, it was something kind of different. And it was kind of good. I liked it. It was going through things that it was blowing up neon lights and a lot of crazy stuff that I've never seen, and it was very interesting to me. People ask for something different all the time. Why you think them people didn't follow? What happened? What did what's going on?
We'll brush on it real quick. Basically, it was in between that time. It was between 2001 and 2004 when ECW went out of business. WCW went out of business. So there was a void in wrestling programming on television. A lot of guys out there that were open to work. I had just been fired from WWF. It was like 2005 actually, 2005. And TNA was just starting out, man. And I remember the people that did this, that were in charge of it, was an MTV project. MTV reached out to Kevin Kleinrock, one of the producers of XPW, Extreme Pro Wrestling, the LA-based porno wrestling, the guy that used to own XPW. You remember that, right? Rob Black.
I heard of it.
Yeah.
So they were the guys. That was a little extreme.
Yeah. So one of the guys, Kevin Kleinrock from XPW, ran that. Signed the deal with MTV, and basically got a 1-season deal. I was part of it, and once I did the pilot episode, 2 things happened. WWE asked me to join the new ECW, so I had 2 contracts, fighting for 2 contracts. So I went with, I got asked to get pulled. If you notice, I was only on the first episode of Wrestling Society X. I was only on part 1, because then I asked for my release to go work for Vince. It was just poorly managed, bad timing. Kevin Kleinrock, who is good as far as television production and producing wrestling from an artistic standpoint, wasn't good at the backstage storylines, talent, and so forth. He had no assistants. Shane Douglas tried to help him a little bit. No, actually Shane didn't try to help him. Shane had his own thing. I think he was doing stuff with TNA. But if I recall correctly, he had no wrestling minds helping him. I was one of the only people backstage on the first pilot episode of the taping, helping backstage. And once I left, he had really nobody there to help him. Vampiro and X-Pac helped a little bit,
Yeah,
but he didn't.
X-Pac,
Yeah, he
and
didn't want to
Vampiro.
really. He didn't want to really let anybody. He was trying to do it all himself, and just right off the bat, imploded. The ratings didn't draw what
Really?
MTV wanted it to draw.
That's terrible.
So everything against it, everything, and it just one season, one and done. You know,
Right.
and it's too bad.
Yeah, man, it is.
Yeah, too bad.
It is, man.
Yeah.
Because it was an interesting
And it's funny
show.
that another guy that
was an
signed with
interesting
Wrestling
show.
Society X that was there for the first taping also got offered a developmental deal. Name was Matt Seidel, aka Evan Bourne.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah,
we were
I
both
seen
we
him
were
there. I
both
actually
we were
seen him
both
there.
there the opening
And
night.
Teddy Hart was there, right?
And yeah, we were both
Teddy
there.
Hart.
Me and Evan Bourne were both there opening night for Wrestling Society X.
What was his other name again? I don't know.
Matt Seidel.
Matt Seidel. Yeah,
And
I've seen him before.
we both left the second day because Vince offered us both contracts. So that was that.
Well done. Well done. Ain't he down with a little clique that Teddy Hart has, right?
Oh, I'm
Evan
not
Bourne?
sure, to be honest.
No?
Not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Your thoughts on wrestling Batista and him as a person?
Yeah,
man?
Dave. I had the privilege of going and before Dave, in between him being in OVW and coming up to the main roster, Dave did 2 months worth of house shows, non-televised events, and he worked with me every single night for 2 months.
Oh, really?
Before he ever debuted on television.
Yeah.
And, it was great. We worked, and he was very willing to learn. He let me control the whole match.
Really?
Listen to me. And finally, he made his debut in Cleveland at the Gund Arena. Never forget it. I'm on his I Walk Alone DVD as his debut on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, yeah?
It was 2002, I believe. And Dave Batista beat Justin Credible in his debut match.
Oh, yeah?
And we had a good match.
Cool, man.
We'll get a good match. I did good for Dave.
No
You worked
doubt.
hard, though. He was very humble. Then he was, at least.
Nice.
I had a nice experience.
He looks like that type of person.
He's a good dude.
Being a
He's a
big
good
dude like that.
Yeah, he's a real good dude, man.
Yeah. Thoughts on Test?
Test?
Kyle Russell's song.
Okay, he's a cool dude. Kind of cocky. Kind of cocky. Very stiff. Very stiff in the ring, yeah. Yeah, real stiff.
Can you say a little bit of, just real quick, give the meaning of stiff for people?
Just fucking brutal, man. He'd kill you. He would kill you. He'd beat the fuck out of you. And he was strong.
Thank you.
Strong, and he's 7 foot tall, 300 plus pounds. Just jacking motherfuckers up.
Yeah.
I worked with him a couple times. He was talented, man. But heavy hitter. Heavy hitter. I hated being in the ring when I'm seeing my name next to his. Oh, what a nightmare that was. I hated it.
They says I heard something. I don't know if it's true. You hear rumors, and when I ask questions, man, I try to make it clear that some things I have a feelings that are true. Some things I know. I have a feel. It kind of makes sense, and you kind of know these things.
Yeah.
But you're not sure sometimes. And
Sure.
Internet says stuff. And
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot of questions out there that get out there, and
Yeah, I understand.
people want to know.
He gave me the impression of, even though I got along with him, he never was very happy. He had
Is
a
it
problem.
true they named him Test because
Yeah.
the steroids and stuff
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
just to remind them to test them or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Well, something like that. It was
So-
about that,
like
but
it was a rib, basically.
yeah. But he was. He
So that's
seemed-
true.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Man.
He was a
That's-
nasty
that's
individual,
terrible,
though.
man.
He was a
Yeah?
cool dude, but he was nasty. He had a chip
Yeah.
on his shoulder,
Yeah.
and he had a drug problem. Real
Yeah.
bad drug problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Died real young, man. How old was he? 32.
I don't know.
He
I
was
know
32
he's young.
years old,
I know
man.
he's
That's
young.
terrible.
He
man.
dated Stacy Giebler. They had
Oh,
a
yeah?
long relationship. Yeah.
Wow.
Now she's with George Clooney.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
I
know
didn't know that.
She's all over the red carpet with George
I
Clooney.
didn't
They've
know
been a serious boyfriend-girlfriend for almost 6 months.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he was 32. I'm not sure. I don't want.
Might have been younger
to
than
take
that,
my
dude.
word for that.
Might have
No,
been
I think he
younger
could have
than
been 32 or 36, something
Something
around
like
there.
that.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not sure, man. All right. TNA. Can you elaborate? Does Jeff still own it? Does he have any You know, I don't. I always wonder. I know he owned the company. He founded it with his father. I'm curious to know if this company got taken from him. Did he make any decisions? What is his position, man?
I went to TNA in the very beginning after WWE and the very opening of TNA. I don't know if it was maybe 2000, late 2003, early 2004. When TNA was doing shows for $9.95 every Tuesday night, before they got regular television, before they were doing Sunday night pay-per-views, they would do a weekly episodic television show. Like basically you had to pay $9 for their hours worth of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Programming. It was on every Tuesday, live.
Yeah.
We did that. I was on the first year of that. It was very cool, innovative. I had a nice feud with Jerry Lynn where we stole the show. Came back in 2005 for a pay-per-view. You know, cool place at the time. I felt they had a little niche at the time. They could have really done something. And when Jerry and Jeff really ran it, and Dixie, since then with the Bischoff whole, I feel that today's TNA really took a step back. I felt they were onto something with the X Division. With the X Division, they were really onto something. They brought that excitement, almost like that cruiserweight style back. And now I feel like they dropped the ball. They brought up guys like Amazing Red. Chris Daniels got his first nationwide exposure. AJ Styles. That whole crew, that whole X Division crew, really made TNA. And then they went to like a retro. Today's TNA looks like a cheap WCW Nitro, like a poor man's Nitro. You know, a poor man's WCW, and they're using the same guys: Sting, Hogan, Flair. It's like WCW, a bad WCW.
They're always trying to recreate something that.
You know, and they also have the WWE outcasts. They have all the old WCW guys and the WWE rejects.
Yeah.
So I think they're gone as far as they're gonna go.
So you don't know.
And I think this is where they will stay for the rest of their existence, which isn't bad. You know, they do a 1 rating, which is